So, as you can tell by the darkness behind me, time has passed. A little bit more than I had planned because I actually got a phone call in the middle of it all. And so these didn't get made right away, but they did probably take about 20 minutes to put together, even with photos. And then actually they baked longer than I thought they would. They took about 30 minutes. The original recipe for the entire pan said 30 to 35. So I thought these would be a lot less, but they actually did take about 30 minutes. I started checking on them at about 24 and trying to see if they were firm, because that's what it says in the recipe. They weren't. So I kept putting them in for about another 2.5 minutes, and finally about 30 minutes we were done. So a couple of them didn't come out of the pan very well. And so, you know, for our purposes, that's great because that means they've been sacrificed already. So you can see this one broke in the pan. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to break the one that's already broken in half, because when the parchment isn't wide enough, it puts all the pressure right in the middle when you're pulling it up. And that's what happened with this one, so it's split down the middle. So you can already see that it's got a really nice crumb to it. Even though it's gluten-free, it still looks really good. And it does just kind of crumble apart when you pull it. These are still warm. I wish you were here. They smell incredible. You can smell the chocolate, you can smell the brown sugar. They're still warm in my hands. Yeah, it's kind of bliss right here in the kitchen right now. So let me just This pan does the best thing with the crispy outer edges on something like a brownie. It's so good. Now, I don't bake with a lot of dark brown sugar. I tend to prefer the flavor of a light brown sugar. This requests a dark brown sugar in the recipe, and it does. It gives you that kind of extra caramely flavor, which is really nice. The gluten-free flour, one of the things that old gluten-free flours, if you haven't used it in a while, the older ones used to leave kind of a gritty taste, gritty flavor in your mouth. New gluten-free flours don't do that. If you're really being particular and you really focus on it and think about it while you're chewing it, you can tell. But otherwise, you really can't tell that these are gluten-free. And since they got chocolate chips in them, even though they are soy-free, dairy-free, nut-free chocolate chips and gluten-free, you would never know. They just taste like a nice semi-sweet chocolate chip. So, bonus. I did get myself a glass of milk. I'm not going to dunk, but come on. It's a massive Blondie with chocolate chips. You know I have to drink some milk because it's still warm. It's like the perfect thing. Okay, so the original recipe was for a 9x13 pan. The brownie pan that I have is technically 9x13. It's much more shallow, and it has the gaps in the middle. So I did make the entire pan of that, which is a dozen, and then I also made regular cupcake size. I made another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. So it's really good. So if you were doing just muffin pan, you'd probably end up with at least a dozen and a half, probably closer to 2 dozen, all from one recipe. So there we go. I'm gonna treat myself to a little bit more Blondie. I'm gonna let the rest of them cool. I feel bad for the people these are going to because they're not gonna get them while they're still hot. That's what, you know, microwaves and things are for. We don't have a microwave, so I have to eat it hot. So that's it for now. I hope you enjoy. I hope that if you have somebody gluten-free in your life, or even if you don't, I hope you try the recipe. They are really, really good. Williams-Sonoma may be a little bit weird, but they do some things right. Oh, one thing though, the recipe was obviously made for us to use when we were demoing food processors, because it's all done in a food processor. I have never baked using a food processor. I might use a mixer. I usually use a bowl and a spatula. So that's why you see me doing this all with the spatula and a bowl instead of a food processor. Anyway, that's it for now. I hope you enjoy, and I will see you in a week.